What's up, everybody? Yeah, I know it's been a while. So, these next couple of videos are going to be movie reviews. And I live in Japan, so it's kind of hard to see movies sometimes because it usually takes a few months for them to get here. So, this is going to be my review of X-Men Apocalypse. Now, this will be a spoiler review because the movie's been out for a few months. Everybody has seen it. Everybody's going to see it, has already seen it. So, yeah, if you haven't already seen it, fair warning, there's spoilers in this video. So, here you go. I'm going to talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, and my own recommendation of whether or not you should watch it. So here you go. What I liked. First of all, I liked the actors in this movie. Some of them were very relatable and really knew how to capture the essence of the character, especially the actor who played Magneto, or should I say Eric Lenscher. He does a great job in all three of these movies, and to me it feels like these three movies are almost like a separate timeline to the first three X-Men movies that we got, the X1, X2, and X3, Last Stand, and because the characters are very different, and you have different actors playing them, and it feels like it's no longer building towards the one timeline. You're going to two, especially with Days of Future Past having the past and the present, Charles Xavier's and Magneto's. you kind of have set it up so that you now have a separate timeline than what we saw before. And at times it feels like they're trying to make up for the mistakes they made in the past with something like, X-Men Origins Wolverine. I mean, there's a scene where they go into the Weapon X program and they free Wolverine. That whole scene is so much better than what we got in the Wolverine movie. It's unbelievable how that one 5 to 10 minute scene outdoes and hopefully erases all traces of the horribleness that we saw in X-Men Wolverine. Not to mention Deadpool as well tries to erase all the wrongs of what happened in that X-Men movie. So if that's what it does, fine. I've talked about that movie. I didn't like it. I thought it was horribly disappointing. And yeah, let's move on from that. Of course, you had to have the Wolverine cameo in all these movies at the very least. So there he was. But also, this movie wasn't shy about showing some blood in that scene. And there is a huge death toll in this movie. There is no way we're going to see any sort of sweeping under the rug like we saw in X-Men X2. But what I also liked was that you saw some of these characters when they were younger, like Scott Summers and Jean Grey, and you got to see them kind of trying to first get a hold of their powers, trying to use them. And especially with Scott Summers being the brother of Havoc, it was nice to see Havoc in that. I want to talk a little bit about Havoc a little bit later, but this makes me hopeful that they'll give us a good Gambit movie. Because Deadpool was really good. This movie was good. It was decent. And I'm hoping that we'll get a good Gambit movie out of this sometime in the near future. Also, the action sequences were good for the most part. But, well, I think they could have been tightened up. And I'll talk about what I mean later. And as a movie, I was enjoying myself. And the character I really liked was Magneto, Eric Lenscher. He's such a good character, and you feel his pain throughout these three movies that you can't help but side with him and say, yeah, I want you to succeed. I want you to be the one to get what you want. And it makes you feel him, and that he doesn't want to be the villain. He doesn't want to be the bad guy, but he's forced into a position where he feels he has to be, and that's an interesting way to take the character, and I like it. And of course the actor does a great job as Magneto. I so enjoy him in that role. And a lot of the characters were good, and thankfully, yeah, they introduced so many different mutants and new characters, but a lot of them were kind of just quick in and out. We didn't really need to know too much about them, but I really liked what they did with Nightcrawler in this movie, and they try to make you kind of like him. He's a pretty likable guy. He's kind of interesting. I would like to know a little bit more about his backstory before he gets shoved into the movie, almost literally. But throughout the movie, you see him grow a little bit in his power, and even him becoming a member of the team. And that's what I also liked about the movie, is that you got to see them actually become a team. And towards the end, they really are, yeah, this is no longer just a school. You're soldiers now in a war. And that's something that was kind of teased in the first X-Men movie, but it was shunned to the side once we got to Days of Future Past. And it was done well at that point of why it wasn't a school anymore. But now it was. It almost felt like they were trying to protect the students and not have them protect themselves, in a sense. But now this one really showed that they were going to make it, yeah, this is no longer just a school. We're also going to train you to protect yourselves if and when if anything goes down. And Mystique, I like Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique in these movies, and thankfully she doesn't take too much of a forefront, because the last movie was kind of her movie, but she was able to share the spotlight with all these other characters that were kind of difficult to bring together. And the return of Moira McTaggart, it was nice to see her, but I don't know if she was actually necessary. But that goes into what I didn't like about the movie was, there are so many characters, it's kind of hard sometimes to really focus. And at times, the movie got really convoluted. It was kind of hard to see where things are going. And the fight scenes, I liked some of the fight scenes, but some of the fight scenes, it was like quick cut. And it almost felt like shaky camera at times. And I hate that. I hate shaky camera. Not to mention, some of the movie is filmed like it was filmed specifically for 3D. And I only saw it in 2D. It would do a lot of this rushing towards the action, or rushing through something, and trying to make you feel like you were there in a 3D environment. But if you're not watching in 3D, it just kind of throws you off, I think. And I think movies can use 3D well, and have done in the past, but when your only concern is making a scene look cool in 3D, it doesn't look good. At least not in my opinion. And not to mention, like, the final fight, it felt, even though there were higher stakes in this movie than Days of Future Past, it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like it at times, because you're focused on this one thing, but it wasn't exactly probably. It wasn't something that, if it went this way, not only was this world going to be destroyed, but another world was going to be destroyed. That's what Days of Future Past got. It knew how to raise the stakes, but also make both areas seem important. Whereas this one, it was trying to go to too many characters, have so many fight scenes at the same time, that it kind of overwhelmed at times. And some characters were just introduced and were just gone, and we got no explanation for them. And some characters were killed, and they weren't done well. And I'll give you one perfect example is Havoc. His death scene in the movie, he kind of died. He died kind of stupidly, and not to mention, I like the scenes where the one person is holding the dead body, and you just see the pain in their eyes, but without Cyclops being able to, like, see his brother even through the ruby glasses, it didn't feel like he was actually dead. My brother and I sometimes say there's no body, they may not really be dead, but I'm gonna just say he's dead. didn't have the same impact. Not to mention, he was basically absent from Days of Future Past, except for one scene. So we didn't get to really see them bond together and see him feel the pain of losing his brother. That's just my opinion on that. Although I really like Quicksilver, that's another character I really liked. I thought it would have been nice to see some of the other characters get a shot in as well. Not to mention they had to do the whole, yes, Quicksilver is Magneto's dad, Magneto's son, Magneto's his dad, that we saw from Days of Future Past. You know, they hinted at, oh, Quicksilver's his son, but this time they just flat out say, yeah, it's his son. One other thing that's kind of minor, but it's set in the 80s, and they just hammer in the fact that it's the 80s. There are a couple of times, yeah, they say it's the 10th anniversary of what the events of Days of Future Past, and they show a picture of President Reagan, but there are so many times where it's just like, okay, it's the 80s, it's the 80s, it's the 80s. Alright, there was one scene where it was necessary when Apocalypse is trying to learn about the world he's in now. That scene, okay, show us it's the 80s. But there's so many other scenes where like, it's the 80s that like, okay, enough, we know, it's the 80s. Chill, man. Relax. It's a small gripe, but it's like, yeah, enough of showing me it's the 80s. I get it. But all in all, I enjoyed the movie, but the last scene, the last part of the fight scene reminded me of the Kamehameha battle between Gohan and Cell. And if you watch both, you'll know what I'm talking about. Where two people are going at it, and the good guy is getting a lot of support from other people, and they're attacking the bad guy, trying to hold him off or trying to distract him or trying to help him out however they can, and at times not really succeeding. So if you saw them both, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But all in all, do I recommend this movie? I think if you really like Days of Future Past, you're going to enjoy this movie, but like me, you won't think this movie is as good as the second one. If you didn't like First Class and you thought Days of Future Past was okay, you might be a little disappointed with Apocalypse. But all in all, like I said, I liked it, but not as much as Days of Future Past. What did you think? Did you see X-Men Apocalypse? What was your opinion on it? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about the movie? Let me know. Also, the next video will also be a movie review, so be on the lookout for that, probably in another couple of days. So until then, bye.